Just loading up on the coffee, yo. Are you guys ready? Guten Morgen. All right, happy Tuesday, everybody. Let's get on with it. 3, 2, 1, hit it. Let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results, but please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Ni hao ma. Welcome to Forex.Today. My name is Wayne McDonald. I'm a currency trader. Been doing this for about 20 years and on 15 years on YouTube. Yeah, can you imagine when you typed in Forex, the first 15 pages, which was like 200 videos, were all my videos on how to trade Forex. Pretty amazing. Anyway, so thank you for being here for part of that time, some of you for all of that time. So what is the raison d'etre? Why am I here? Why do I do this every day? Well, the overriding goal is for me to teach you how to put together conservative, repeatable plans, trade plans, every single day. So yes, some of it's technical analysis, some of it is fundamental analysis, some of it is simply to give you the strength to get out of bed and do what needs to get done. Beat the sun. So anyway, so thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the community. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the respect you show me every day. I appreciate that. You're a good person. You're a positive part of my life, and I hope I meet you. If you need a broker, you need one that A, you trust, B, executes your trades, C, gives you good swaps, because some of you guys get negative swaps regardless of the direction you're trading. Why would you want a negative swap on both sides, right? You got to have decent spreads. You got that execution speed I'll go back to is super important. But the super thing I'll go all the way back is one that you trust, right? And you need to trust facts. So again, go back to the Swiss National Bank debacle where FXCM went out of business, where in the United States, where Alpari went out of business globally. And what happened to Traders Way? Nothing. It was, right? They sent out an email to their clients saying, hey, everything here is fine. Hope you're okay too. So, hey, if that's the kind of partner you like, maybe you consider tradersway.com. Let's move on to the charts. Yeah, very cold in the United States of America. Okay. Of course, it's Joe Biden's fault. President's Day frozen in Texas. Yeah, no joke. The wind turbines in Texas are frozen, so 5 million people are in Texas without power, like without Netflix, for crying out loud. So hopefully everybody is there, safe and warm. I have a feeling 9 months from now there's going to be a lot of babies in Texas, little cowboys and little cowgirls. Very cold in Germany, too. Yeah, well, it's Germany. It's not supposed to get cold in Texas. That's the problem. Right? It's not supposed to get cold in Texas. So, Germany, you're like, yeah, it's cold, yeah. Of course it's cold. Anyways. Oh, right? Yeah, Germany's at 50%. Okay, anyways. Hey, that's interesting, Daniel. Hey, Daniel, are you any good at graphic art? You should be. I might have a job for you if you. Maybe we'll just buy you a graphic art tool. But maybe I have a small job for you every day. All right. So, anyways, I was corrected on that mate the other day. They're like, you're so. I was told I was, how you say in English, that I was a boomer. I'm like, what do you mean a boomer? Like, you say global warming. I'm like, well, what do you call it? Climate change. Anyways. Yeah, I'm just wondering, Daniel, if you can teach yourself how to make thumbnails for YouTube. All right, so anyways, let's get on with it. It's Tuesday. Yesterday was President's Day, so I got a few emails from people who are like, why isn't there a webinar? Couple of things. One, if the stock market in the United States is closed, I don't coach. I've never done that in 200 years of me doing this. The reason for it is it's less liquidity. Technical analysis is less likely to work out. It's a little higher level of risk. And since I don't even take sick days or holidays, well, I guess I do take holidays if I took, but anyways, I don't take personal time off. I don't take sick days. So anyways, this is a legitimate day to take a holiday. So that's what I did. Markets are closed. The stock market was closed. Okay. So if the New York Stock Exchange is closed, Wayne's closed too. And the other thing is you should know that. Okay, you should really know that. Okay. No big deal. Just if you missed it, though, you should say, oops, I need to know these things. And, I don't know, put it on your Google Calendar or something, all the days in which Fed meetings are, all the days in which the New York Stock Exchange is closed, the days that the Bank of England are closed, that kind of stuff. Okay? Yeah, well, Steve, I was pointing you out personally. But it's a red flag. It's just like, you should know these things, okay? You walked into an arena without knowing the enemy, I guess. I don't know. Okay, y'all. Okay, so Aussie was strong in giving back. Pound was strong in giving back. Dollar was weak and is gaining strength. And yen I haven't looked at in a bit. And so we've had some strong moves. But the interesting thing is we've slammed into some targets, right? We've slammed into some targets. So this is amazing. Last night, I was at 1,800 pips. Now I'm only up at 1,500 pips. Very disappointing, but it makes sense. So let's go over here. If you recall, our original target from this trade, I guess. Dang it, don't do that. I just messed up hang on. That should be, how many did we lock on this one? 250? 250. I don't know where it was. Anyways, I'll lock it 150. Here's what I meant to do. It just hit the line. There we go. This was our target. Do you guys remember? You guys remember that? I actually had the line drawn and stuff. I changed the chart recently just because I wanted to get the monthly and weekly overlap. But do you remember it on that one? I mean, you can go back to Friday's video or whatever. I mean, it was clearly there. And so I hit that target, and since then, it's stopped. Oh, my God. Look at right from the first day of the month, red candle, 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 green candle, red candle, red candle, red candle, bullish engulfing. Right up. What I'm trying to tell you is that we already had planned. We already knew all of that, and it happened. Like, oh my gosh. Okay? It's cool. It's almost a crystal ball. It's almost a crystal ball, right? Look how important that was. Boom, 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 pop. Of course, much of that just occurred just in the last hour, much of that pop. And I, of course, was trying to save this to show you it can be a legitimate place to take profit, especially fairly kind of early in the month still. And we had this conversation last week. Could you take profit there? Yes, you could. Should you? Well, you won't know until after, right? But we know the next trade is likely to be in this zone, right? So the thought process is that too far away to wait? And of course, ultimately my answer is I don't know what the right answer is, but I want you to know that you're supposed to be making decisions, and that you make a decision, and whatever decision that is, it's going to be correct because we never know the right outcome, but you should be able to take in the variables and make a decision that's somehow logical. We don't know the outcome, but you say, wow, that's a lot of risk. I'm going to book the profit. That is the right answer because you saw the risk. Not what the answer is, but that you saw the risk and you did something about it. Or you say, okay, I see the risk, but I'm golden on this because there's more than enough room for me to stay in and be in it another couple of months, maybe till the end of the year. Well, you have to have a different strategy for that, and then you take in the variables, and then you make a decision, and you're like, okay, you're fine. Okay? Uzi says, when are these equities popping? Well, I think we just had the biggest, 14 days in a row, the stock market has made a higher high, and that's the best in something like 14 years. So when are they popping? 2.5 weeks ago, son. So anyways, so now I'm sitting on farting around here and giving back a little bit, but that's got to be part of this strategy, right? So again, I've given back about 300 pips today. So I was at 1,800 yesterday. And now we'll see. Now we got to make decisions. Is BOJ driving yen weakness? I want you to think about this. The number one most powerful force in our industry is business. It's not the Bank of Japan weakening before the pullback. Okay? It's what is supposed to happen. So we already know, Steve, that the yen is supposed to weaken up until around this period, and then very often it strengthens due to something. But it's not necessarily the Bank of Japan. I mean, it could be, but they are doing things. But sort of like yen weakness is already in the equation. It's already part of it, right? Daniel, it's thumbnails for YouTube videos is what I'm thinking. So you can probably find software I can pay $100 for that does 90% of it, and now you just got to spend some time every day. Okay? 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 Well, no. Okay, so how about this, Steve, and to everybody else? The US dollar and the Japanese yen are funding currencies. The yen and the dollar are funding currencies. So yen is going to be weak because people are going to use it for trade. Okay? So it's not the gasoline, but it's the oil. Okay, it's not why global macroeconomics are working, but cheap yen and cheap dollar keep the engine healthy. It keeps the motor engine turning, but it's not the fuel. The fuel is business economics. It's business activity. So if you don't want to go to Dubai and do some deals, right? Like, that's what it is. Let me give you a different example. And I had a conversation with my wife about this. Maybe it was just yesterday or Sunday. But I was reading Barron's magazine, and there's an interview with Mark Mobius. Do you guys know Mark Mobius? I was thinking about putting his book in the book club. He just wrote a new book recently. Now, here's the interesting thing. He retired about 3 years ago. He spent his whole career at Templeton, the big mutual fund company, and he ran their emerging markets division. So this is what he's known for. When you think of Mobius, you think of emerging markets. It's just like automatic, right? And so he retired about 3 or 4 years ago. At the age of 79, he retired. And why did he retire? I mean, he was a billionaire, multi-billionaire, and he's 79, right? Like, he could have retired at 69, right? He could have retired at 49. So anyways, he quits his job at 79, starts his own firm, raises hundreds of millions of dollars. He's still investing like crazy all over the world. There's a picture of him standing in front of the Burj Khalifa in Dubai because he had money into the development of it and all that kind of stuff. And so at the age of 82, he's still investing around the world, still raising money from investors, and he took the time to write a book, publish a book on inflation. Right? Amazing, right? There's an inspiration to me, anyways. But, so anyways, he will tell you that all of this is business. So imagine if there wasn't a guy, like, again, I'll just use Mobius. He's moving, he's shaking, he's flying all over the world. He's got teams, he's got money, and he's making investments. I'll buy this, I'll give you that. How much is that, baby? I'll take that. I'll buy that. How much is that, baby? He's on the phone, right? Boom. Two, 3 phones going on, private jets all over the world. Oh, I like what you got there. Boom, I'll finance your project, right? But that's money. You have to understand it's money moving around. So this is what makes the yen weak. This is what makes the dollar weak. Okay? So you could say, well, you could ask, Wayne, is it the Bank of Japan? Is it the Fed? Is it the Russians? Is it the Chinese? Is it the North Koreans? Like, who's making the yen weak? No. It's just business. It's just an outcome of business deals getting done. Okay? So, certainly don't go with the conspiracy theory, right, idea. It's just money, honey. And it's a good sign. Now, there's an ebb and flow in that because Mark Mobius pays taxes, right? And his corporations pay taxes. And all over the world, they pay taxes on different days and different time frames based on when they're due. Okay? And so money has to move around. There's like deadlines, if you will. Okay? You want to do stuff over here, but there's a deadline. Okay? We have these same deadlines. You have to pay personal taxes. They're due on one day. I also pay corporate taxes. So my corporate stuff, I've already done this year. Okay? Then I get all my K1s, and then we do our personal taxes. Okay? So business taxes are due different days than personal taxes, and every country has different rules and all that and regimes. So you just sometimes have to move money around. In the United States, there's a lot of a rotation going on at the end of the year because it has to, like the United States is a big financial center, and so that's a good time to rebalance portfolios and stuff. Why? It's just because it needs to get done. Taxes, year-end, bunch of things, right? So remember, the biggest impact of all, and by far, that impacts Forex is economic activity. Okay? If too much inflation occurs, the Fed will have to change a policy, okay? And then that will shift the value of a currency, but they only shifted their policy because of the business climate, of where we are in the cycle. In relation to business activity, pushing up demand, pushing up wages, pushing up consumption, pushing up investment, until suddenly everything in the country, in the economy, is expensive, partially due to demand for everything. Okay, businesses are demanding everything they can get their hands on so that consumers can buy all the stuff they need, everything they can. Now they feel rich because they're buying as much as they possibly can. So therefore businesses feel rich, so now they invest like crazy. But what do businesses ultimately buy? Capital, but there's two types of capital, labor and you can think of machines, right? So in this case, or natural resources. So they're going to go out to the resource market and buy machines and buy grain and buy iron ore and buy steel, make cars, but they're also going to go out into the market and buy people. Well, in this case, pay you wages, right? You're a resource and all that kind of stuff. So all of a sudden, demand for that goes up, which means everyone with a job, and then eventually everyone will have a job in the workforce, and they'll get paid. They'll get paid more, and then all of a sudden this factory needs more workers, and everyone's already got a job, so the only way they can get more workers is to hang out by the food trucks at lunchtime and steal workers from the factory across the street. Hey, dude, how would you like free lunches every day? You know, if you work for us instead of them, I'll buy you all your free lunches. And they're like, oh, I'll go work in that factory, right? And all of a sudden now wages are going up, so now you're making more money, and therefore then you spend stuff, but all of a sudden you find out gasoline's expensive, healthcare is expensive, childcare is expensive, right? And the Fed's going to have to come in and cool things off. But remember, the Fed acting to help expand or contract the economy is reactionary towards what business activity is actually occurring. Yes, you can throw in land, but you know, like one of the things we discuss in the macroeconomics course that I'm doing is, you know, how quickly can you simply add land? Okay, it's one shifter of the production possibilities curve, right? So you're like, oh, well, just make your country bigger. Well, that's not a short run issue, isn't it? That's a long run. Like, well, okay, how do you make more land? Well, you could be like Singapore, right? And make your land. Or you could, like, Israel could what? Just take over all of Palestine and, well, you know, good luck with that, right? And how does Canada get bigger? Well, it can't. How does the United States get bigger? You know, make Puerto Rico a state, but, you know, I don't know. So, you know, it's not a short run issue, right? What's the other thing you could do? Oh, well, just advance your technology. Well, if you're already advanced technology, like, where are you going to get it? Aliens come down and give it to you, and suddenly now you can make twice as many pizzas with the same number of chefs and the same amount of ovens. Like, okay, it's not that easy. Eventually you'll get there, but that's not a short run, that's a long run. Right? What's the other way? Oh, well, if you just double the size of your population, you'll get growth. Yeah, well, it's not that easy to double your population. You certainly can't do it in a week or a month or even in a year. So even if suddenly you force people to have babies and you open up the borders and maybe even go out and kidnap people and bring them to your country, it's still not fast enough, right? So it's a short run, okay? It's a short run issue, okay? That what we need to deal with. The long run stuff is going to happen eventually, but it's hard to plan that, right? So you can't just double your land, but you're right on the land part. Okay, so I want you to look at the dollar and the yen, not through the lens of any sort of conspiracy theory, like who's controlling it. You know who's controlling it? People, right? Hustlers, movers and shakers. Yeah, that would be the one that I would read, yeah. But Brad, I'm starting a book club. Okay, I'm starting a book club, and so that will go on the list. Okay. It's going to be called Intellectual Investors. Okay. Because it's going to be unlike anything else ever seen. And the reason for it is it's not about reading books. Okay. If you want to be educated, read a book. Okay. But there's more to it than that. Okay. An intellectual is a person who engages in critical thinking and then reflects upon it. So they may propose solutions to problems. Okay? Intellectual, right? That's why it's called intellectual. We're going to use the Harvard case study method. Because imagine in business school, at Harvard Business School or Harvard Law School, and I'm sure they use it in the other schools as well, but specifically Harvard Business School and Harvard Law School invented the case study method so that you can just digest and absorb massive amounts of information extremely quickly. Okay? So like you decide to throw Ray Dalio, you throw in his book on principles because you want him to tell you how to live your life. Thank you, Ray Dalio. But you want to read his principles book, and you find out it's 750 pages long. How long is it going to take you to read that book? And what if you planned on reading 50 or 60 books a year? All of a sudden you're like, dude, I can't do it on my own. I know, right? So anyways, we're going to start something that I don't think has ever actually existed before. At least in my small world, in my small mind, it's unique. So that's cool. So we'll put that in there, and we'll probably knock out Mark Mobius's book in one day. And not just speed read it, because that's even worse. See, if you want to be educated, you just read a bunch of books. But talk to people with degrees. Most of the time, they're like, yeah, my degree's helpful, I guess, right? So you can bang out the work, you can bang out the books, and then at the end you get the certificate that says you're smart. But really, what it means is you can follow orders and you can read lots of books, right? Some people are smart; they're just born smart. You can be street smart, you can be savvy, you can be clever, but it doesn't mean you're educated, right? So there's this idea of smart. Then there's this level of educated, which means you're smart enough to read a bunch of books and pass a couple of exams. But, okay. But the next level is intellectual, where you actually engage with the content and put in, deep thought, right? The reflection part. Like, think about it. Deep analysis, deep thought, but engagement, which is an activity, which means we're going to work as groups, right? So now you can actually interact and engage with other readers as we're reading it and have conversations, maybe even debates, which is way different than just reading a book on your own, right? And then the reflection and all that and some examinations. And wow, and then now, if we're banging out several books a week, 300, 400, 500 page books, and you're going through 2 or 3 a week. Imagine how interesting your conversations will be next year when somebody says, "Oh, well, so what did you do in 2021?" You're like, "Well, I read over 100. I read the top 100 investing books of all time." And somebody said, 100 books? Yeah, that's what I did. What did you do in 2021? I binge watched all 12 seasons of The Walking Dead. Oh, that's really good. Yeah, you must feel really good about yourself. Let me tell you, people will be more impressed that you read dozens and dozens of books. Anyways, we'll get there. All right, we'll get there. Anyways, Okay? Holy schnicker. Okay? Amazing day, huh? All right. Actually, you know what this reminds me? Let's change our strategy here. Hang on. Let me go to Forex.Today. La 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 la. Okay. Yeah, the only thing is calling it a book club never feels right to me. Okay, it's part book club, part executive summaries, part college lecture, part, Zoom discussion, right? So, yeah, it's going to be, interesting. It's probably as close to the Harvard methodology as most people will ever get. Okay. New home sales in Australia, not so good. RBA meeting minutes. Ba 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 boo. Boo do 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 do. See how difficult that is? Oh my God. I'm going to have to go all the way. Right? Takes 10 seconds to pull it up. International financial markets. I think I'll read that. Members noted that global financial market conditions had remained very accommodative and monetary stimulus was expected to remain in place for some time. In advanced economies, several central banks, including the United States Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, and the Bank of Japan, and Sweden's Riksbank, had recently indicated they would increase the size or extent of the timeframes of their asset programs. A number of central banks also introduced lending facilities or enhanced existing facilities to support the flow of credit to the real economy. Members observed that the size of the bank's balance sheet to GDP remained lower than that of most advanced central banks. Most advanced economy central banks, which means the RBA can spend the money. They can spend the money. Okay? Very cool, man. The U.S. dollar depreciated further in response to improvements in the medium-term growth outlook. Commodity prices had also increased against the backdrop. Oh, my God. You don't have time to read this. Well, maybe it's trying to binge watch 12 seasons of The Walking Dead. Right? Come on. You guys could read this. It's so important. It's so informative. It's so interesting. They're doing the research for you. You don't even need to do the research. All they say is read their reports. They'll tell you. You have PhDs and quants doing deep dives and analysis, and then they get together and they share that information in common language. Yeah, but Daniel, you're well on your way to being an expert. Okay? So it should. You could spend an hour. Okay? So I can crank through that, and when I see it, because I have experience, right? I can see that and say, "Oh, okay, they're paving the road so that they can throw down some money. They're like everyone else is spending money, so now why shouldn't we spend money too?" Okay, so they're kind of right. They got one hand in their pocket, and the other one's hailing a peace sign. Or is it a taxi cab? Okay, anyways. So, shows you how easy I can bring that up in 10 seconds. Literally. Okay? Okay, let's take a look. What else is going on in the world? What's going on? CPI, yeah, okay, we're not interested. Retail sales, that's tomorrow. Yeah, it's funny, I keep thinking we're Monday. I'm like, that happens on Wednesdays. Oh, yeah. There you go. So anyways, retail sales tomorrow. That's a good one. We want to see if Americans are spending their money, the free money from the government. Right? Jim says in the war room. Oh, you guys are, yeah. So my macroeconomics class is for anyone in my swing trading group or in our professional track. You're welcome to attend at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going to do terms of trade. We're actually going to negotiate like two countries. Okay? We talked about specialization of economies. So now, let's say Japan and the United States both make airplanes, and Japan and the United States both make cars. Should they trade? And if so, what would the actual number be? How many planes for how many cars, or how many cars for how many planes? Now, imagine though, like let me say it this way, just maybe to whet your appetite. Trying to get my drawing tool to start. It looks like it might not. Oh, there it is. So imagine now we're talking planes and cars. Okay? Okay, they're going to trade. Two countries are going to trade, right? How is this similar to what we do as Forex traders? Oh, you caught my Bloomberg masterclass? Very cool. The educated investor. How is this similar to what we do? Morning, Evelyn. Do you see that? Ultimately, we're not trading planes and cars, we're trading cash, right? Because you need to transfer cash to buy a plane. You need to transfer cash to buy a car. So if we're trading planes and cars, we're actually going to substitute that with money, right? You see how it all adds up? So like if you can't calculate the terms of the trade, then you don't understand money. And it's probably your first seed planted in game theory. Because you're like, oh, well, Japan's not going to agree to that, but the United States would love it. So now you got to play the game. So they're going to say this, and then the counter should ask for that, and eventually they're going to find. Does anyone know what they find? The United States is going to ask one thing, and it's going to be too costly for Japan, so Japan's going to respond, and they're going to say what they want, but that's going to be too costly for the United States, or they could just do it themselves. So eventually, where are they going to meet? Now, we're not going to cover this today. I just want to see if anyone has a background in game theory. Where are we going to meet? I'll give you a hint while you're working on it. Oh, there you go. Have you seen the movie? In the middle. Yeah, you can be more sophisticated in an answer on that one. But yeah, you're right, but not really, actually. John Nash. Maybe we should do YouTube. I'll get slapped for this. YouTube. John Nash. Bar scene. Let's see what this comes up with. Yeah. Maybe this gets you interested.
Saturday Night Live's longest-running cast member, Kenan Thompson.
Yeah, he's been on that for a long time, for sure. Oh, come on.
Gentlemen? Deep breaths. Nash, you might want to stop shuffling your papers.
Oh, the volume is way low.
I will not buy you gentlemen beer.
Oh, we're not here for beer, my friend.
So he won the Nobel Prize, by the way, in economics.
Does anyone else feel she should be moving in
See.
slow motion?
Pretty girls always inspire men.
You want a large wedding with it?
Should we say swords, gentlemen? Pistols at dawn.
Have you remembered nothing?
Who wears a crimson sweater for crying out loud?
Father of modern
Oh my God, that's I'm wearing the exact same outfit. Exactly.
Those who strike out are stuck with their friends.
I'm not going to strike out.
You can lead a blonde to water, but you can't make him drink.
I don't think he's...
All right, here he goes.
You look over him.
He's going to win the Nobel Prize for this.
Oh, God. All right, he may have the upper hand now, but wait until he opens his mouth. Remember the last time?
Here we go. It's not that she's pretty. Hang on.
Adam Smith needs revision.
What are you talking about?
We all go for the blonde. We block each other. Not a single one of us is going to get her. So then we go for her friends. But they will all give us the cold shoulder because nobody likes to be second choice. But what if no one goes for the blonde? We don't get in each other's way. And we don't insult the other girls. It's the only way we win.
Ha ha. See? So we get to the Nash equilibrium was the answer. Yeah. Nothing says arrogant prick like a crimson sweater, right, John? Or right, Ron? anyways, the Nash equilibrium, guys. Yeah. You got to get it. You got to geek out on this stuff. Anyways, I do. Right, so we'll get a little taste on that just because when you do the terms of trade, at least in these simple matters, in these simple models, there's only a right answer. Oh, look at that. I got a warning. Look at that. Literally. Heads up. We've detected copyright audio and video in your stream. Your stream may be temp what? Your stream may temporarily be blocked. No way. Woohoo! Really, look at that. The robots, the AIs are going to ban me. That's cool. Well, let's... Anyways, yeah, so the Nash, we'll find a Nash equilibrium, and that's part of game theory. So we'll just kind of skim the surface of that. But you should be able to predict the other player's response, and that should, I don't know, change your opening move and response. Anyways, so we'll get into that later today. Okay. Okay. All right. So we did Wednesday, right? I mean, we got a lot of inflation data coming out. I think retail sales is going to be more important than the inflation information, just because there's not going to be any inflation. What we're looking for is, less deflation. Wednesday, we have FOMC meeting minutes. Maybe you should download and read those. Okay. Thursday, or is it still Wednesday? Well, Thursday for Australian, but Wednesday evening, we'll have Aussie jobs report, typically a good scalping opportunity. Okay. Notice a lot of Bank of England speeches throughout the week. That's usually a hint. They're trying to lay the groundwork for future meetings and more like future decisions and future policy changes. So pay attention to those if you can. Going out to Thursday, initial jobless claims. Okay. Aussie retail sales. If you trade the Aussie, that's obviously going to be a good one. So notice that we got horrific data out of here. I don't even know. Maybe it was an error. It's so bad, it's hard to even believe it actually is true. So anyways. So that obviously you would say if people don't feel comfortable buying new homes, they're probably going to cut back on their spending in general. And that is called the household wealth effect. Okay. So right now, a bad housing data and then bad retail sales. And because we read the meeting minutes, we read a few seconds of the meeting minutes, they're already setting the stage to spend more money. So now we're like, oh, okay, so if they come out with bad retail sales, which is consumption, and bad housing data, which is investment, then the government's going to have to raise their G. Do you understand that part? Deliciously or precipitously? Or both? Okay, so you guys see that? If C is low on Thursday, and Monday we have horrific I, then to balance the equation, G's got to go up. Okay? Cool. So anyways, guys, all this dollar stuff is probably what we've been expecting, right? Remember, we've been talking about things being too early. We're doing well, but everything's early. That is pretty crazy, though. And then interest rate decision out of China. Yeah. Oh, for sure, eh? So yeah, that's gonna be important. Going back to the currency indices, this is a great time to highlight that these indices are backward looking. So if an hour ago you made investment decisions because you were looking at this, it wasn't predicting up at all, right? So you have to use other tools. And like I showed you, many of these things were preceded by things like pivot profit zones, and you're supposed to know that that's where markets flip, which tells me profit taking maybe? So let's do a scan around the world. Let's do some buck and see who's being bucked. Okay. Right? Hang on.
You're listening to Trade the News.
Cool. Dollar getting strong on Kiwi. Let me get back to that. Dollar getting strong against Euro. Look at this. Just nice turnaround. Nice turnaround. Let's take this and put this in a confluence. Okay. Cool. Okay. Okay. Notice this is the counter trend. I just want to make sure you guys remember. Okay. We had this OOP. Right? Then we had this down to a counter trend. The target is the central pivot. And from there, I said, don't be shocked if this comes all the way down and makes a double bottom down here. Is that true? I just want you to think about that. It's important. So, right, who's doing it? Is it the Russians? Is it the Chinese? Why is the dollar strong? Why can't it just be like it's supposed to? Why can't it just be like that's what everybody thinks, therefore it is, and that everyone really wants to set this up for a rally in March? But the first week of February, it's the right thing, but it's too early. Right? Brinsley's taking it? Yeah. It's a bit early. I mean, I see what you're doing, right? But I'd always caution you, of course. Okay? So cool. Cool. And I think I did this in such a way that we were looking at next month's pivots. And I think I gave you a plan A and a plan B. Right? I think I lined it up like this, where I said, this is a first opportunity, and then down here is like a second opportunity. And I think I drew it like this. This might happen, or this might happen. Okay. Does that make sense? Or how about this? How many people recall both of these things? I just want to make sure it's not like sort of backfilling noise that like, oh my God, that's true. We were talking about that weeks ago when we were setting up the counter trend. He said only expect it to get back to the central and then there could be a double bottom, right? In fact, I think I said I preferred the double bottom. Okay? Right? So if you don't remember, it didn't happen. Okay? So now that it's happening, a lot of people are saying, well, why? Why is this happening? Why is it happening today? Well, I don't know about today. I don't know nothing about nothing. But there should be some element of it's supposed to. Okay? And so I don't know. But now if you are a believer in these moves, pick the one you want to trade, take the trades, manage the risk, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. All right. So all C. Okay, this is old school charts. Okay. Old school charts. This is back when we started buying it. What do we know now? Well, we know Australia's nervous, and it's not the sheep.
Mobiles and have safely shut down their Beaumont and Baytown, Texas area facilities mid severe winter weather.
Okay. So now you go through and you pull out the prices you think might be interesting in the future. There's no right or wrong answer. These are just levels that you eyeball. So you can do it like this way, and then since they're 50 to 100 pips apart, you can do that one. Okay. And what's happening now is irrelevant, of course. What you're supposed to be doing is saying, what do you want to do in the future? And that's why I've done all this here. So you can drag this across if you want. Okay, cool. So what are you going to do in the future? Okay, so you could also play it this way. I'm just showing you, it's very subjective. Okay, so I'll say, well, maybe that's the bottom and that's the top. Okay.
Mexican president saying that Mexico will get 800,000 Pfizer vaccine doses on March 2nd.
Okay. Okay. And you decide now, are you going to buy any of these? Now, on top of this, you can do psych levels. Like you could do, a cool way of doing this is just doing it manually. 0.78, done. Okay. You think that number was important? Okay. 0.77. You think that number was important? Let's do another one. Oops. Let's do another one. Okay. And so you can start marking up your charts. 0.76. Okay. Possibly important, right? Let's do one more. 0.75. You see, I'm just putting psych levels. Okay, that's enough for now. Do I have enough information? Long story, what piece of information led me up to that decision? 20 years of experience. Okay, so think of it like long story, right? And that's probably the point you're making. If I clearly outlined these plans 2 weeks ago, that there would be a rally up to the central pivot and then possibly a significant pullback or double bottom in the week or two after that. Well, if I can talk about that 2 weeks before it happens, then there must be something repeatable about it, because obviously I don't know the future, right? Right? There's no sort of unique information that I have. It's not like it was part of a Harvard class where my professor says, you know what? You know, on the second week of February, it always goes up for 2 weeks and then it always comes down, and you'll know this and you'll have this advantage over people. Please don't tell anybody. And now I'm out here telling you. No. There's something logical going on. And I keep telling you, it's people. It's business activity. It's, right? So anyways, so what I'm trying to get across here today, guys, is that you now decide what to do. Not today, let's say, maybe today, but you probably, if you didn't see dollar strength coming, then why do you need to start doing it now? I mean, you could, of course.
Ford idling a Kansas City F-150 plant due to a natural gas shortage. Says Ford. Production to resume in Kansas City on Monday, February 22nd.
So you have to ask yourself,
closure on this,
where are we going to be in the
Kansas
future?
City due to natural gas shortage amid the severe weather in Texas.
Is that what you believe in? Something like that? If you don't even know what you believe in, right? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Oh, look at the big candle. Oh, look at the big candle, the dollar. Oh my God, I guess I should be a dollar bull. Whoa. Pull back on the reins. Settle down, right? Whoa. Look at this chart and tell me what you think. On top of that, you can look at Australia. Their news sucks right now, and their central bank is nervous. Okay, that shows Aussie dollar weakness. There's no doubt. But do we have that now technically? So now you have to put these things together. Now, here's the interesting thing. You could read into it and say Aussie dollar weakness, or you could say the central bank in the next 6 to 8 weeks is going to announce a new policy to support the Aussie dollar. Isn't that what they told us in the meeting minutes? All the other central banks are spending more money than the Reserve Bank of Australia. Maybe they're not doing enough. Okay? So I don't know. Anyways, you have to ask yourself, what do you see here technically? Now, you might say you're a bear on Aussie dollar. Well, okay, you could trade the double top. Okay? If you didn't predict that it was going to happen, then you're not in it now. So then the next question is, how are you going to trade it? Well, a double top is typically traded like this. So you might be in the trade tomorrow. Aight. But what about the long run? Okay? Okay? What about the long run? And so you make these decisions now. Now you go into a smaller time frame. Are you gonna sell it low? Well, you know you can't do that. Don't be a nincow poop. Don't be a gullah bull. Okay? A bull could buy it, of course, but that, again, buying lower lows is not something I've ever recommended. So you're choosing now as a bear. Is this your trade plan tomorrow? See, I'm not talking about today. Maybe it's later today. Maybe it's Asia open. Maybe it's London open. Maybe it's New York open. But what you gonna do at 0.77777? 7. Are you going to sell it? If you can't make the decision now, don't even do the trade. Focus on the decision-making process. Because you're like, well, Wayne, it's a double top with, seasonality favoring some dollar strength here, and you see some weakness in the meeting minutes. Okay? So imagine now, let me throw on top of this. Let's say you do trade at 7777 to the downside, and then on Thursday, retail sales is bad. What happens? Wait, whoa, Wayne. We're looking at something today, which you discussed 2 weeks ago, and now that I see it today, you're talking about tomorrow, and if you get tomorrow right, 2 days later, news comes out, and that might lead into a trade that could last another week after that. Well, holy crap. So you're 2 weeks ago, we were 2 weeks ahead, and now you're already thinking all of this week and possibly most of next week. And I'll say, yeah, for sure. Oh, faux show. Yeah. What do you guys think of that? Double top, lower low, lower high, day trade down into next week's swing trade, front running, bad news, coming out on retail sales on Thursday because we already have a nervous Nelly central bank and a horrific retail sales. So you're thinking, oh my gosh, Y equals, right? Productivity equals, or GDP equals C plus I plus G.
Touting the lowest 7-day average COVID-19
Okay.
positivity rate since November 28th.
I is already way down. So if retail sales comes out way down, that's also going to be bad, which is going to force the central bank to increase the G to somehow balance the equation, which would then increase the amount of Aussie dollars globally, which could weaken it further, but would lead eventually on the medium term to a competitive advantage. Drop the mic. Over. See you in 2 weeks. Okay, what do you think? All right, so let's look at our yen. Well, let's go back to indices. Just keep an eye on correlation. Okay, boop, 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 boop. Let's do commodities. My oh my, WTI. These are expensive pips outside of normality, which makes them less and less predictive or predictable. Okay? So it's dangerously priced, but there's probably a reason for it. Brent, opening high. Look at that opening on target from last week, right? Ooh, ooh, oh, oh. My, oh my, WTI. And this is Brent. So Brent's leading the way. Nice. Dr. H says that's part of what was planned last month too. Yeah. Yup. So yeah, so anyways, yeah, business activity returning. There's a bit of shortage, which is pretty interesting, right?
General Motors saying they're idling their Arlington, Texas plant for the second day due to severe weather issues in Texas. Go, Michael.
That ain't it. Boo. I don't want regional though. Northeast distillate EIA forecast United States return to being petroleum importer. That's from Grandpa Joe. Weekly supply.
Latest Fonterra data, global dairy trade price index up 3.0%.
Ooh, that'll be good for New Zealand.
Price index up 4.3%.
Let's pull up Kiwi yen as sort of an isolator. I'll do it here. Just wondering if that's going to push Kiwi up. Let me go back to, I cannot always have a difficult time finding these. Weekly spot price. I guess I should just go to I'll just go to the website, the homepage. Short-term energy outlook is typically where I see it. That's interesting. What's going on here? No. Wow, okay, so we've drawn down the floating storage, which is interesting. Current month. Where's my data? So, no. Look at all this wonderful data, though. I could just spend hours doing this. But this isn't what I want. This isn't what I want. Full report, next release, short-term energy outlook. Why isn't it here? Tables, figures. I want the price. I want inventory. All highlights. Short-term energy outlook. That's what it should be. It's what I get emailed. Price, production, crude oil inventories. Boo! This just sucks. Why can't I find my information? So I get it emailed to me. It's probably one of these. Heating and... Oh, this is close. That's an inventory chart. Why wouldn't it be the first one? Fossil fuel production expected to increase. EIA expects crude oil prices to average near $50 barrel through 2022. I mean, very good information, right? You're like, they're making predictions here. No. Jet fuel production. It's not what I want. Petroleum refining capacity falls to lowest. What does this mean? U.S. petroleum refining capacity falls to its lowest level. What does this mean to you? Who buys oil? Refineries. They're low on inventory. No. I think we're going in circles now. Heat and oil, estimates of global petroleum liquid consumption. So this is a consumption one. It's actually pretty nice. United States. So it dropped with COVID, and consumption is slowly returning. Dropped by 10%, which means there's going to be a rise in the near future. So we already know that. That's not that interesting, but I love the charts. Love the charts. I just can't find my inventory data, which should be like the most obvious. And I get an email to me. Production fossil fuel resource map. Actually, that's pretty cool. I'm just wondering if we can pull up, if it's got a good view of Texas. Ha! There you go. Look at Texas. These are oil pipelines, production facilities. Look at that. Sucking it out of the ground, right? It's amazing. Okay, there's obviously more stuff on there than needed. Anyways, I'm looking for oil inventories. I get an email to me. I just couldn't find it.
Scottish First Minister Sturgeon confirming a plan for reopening schools starting February 22nd in Scotland.
So did you get the news on the Fonterra dairy? So let me bring that up. Fonterra dairy. Let's do here. Wrong one. Not wrong one. Dairy reporter. Wrong one. Wrong one. Wrong one. Wrong. Dairy industry. It's all wrong. I probably misspelled it. So anyways, up 3%. Okay, what you can see here, since December, there's been an increase in dairy prices. So we know there's either a shortage or increase in demand. So November was down. Beginning of November was down. October fairly flat, but then end of November up, December up. Notice this is following the stock market. Isn't that interesting? Up starting November, right? December opened hot. The end of December cooled off. January hot, right? February hot. End of January hot. Little dip, and then nice. So anyways, whatever. Maybe it's nonsense. But what I like to think of is this is the New Zealand dollar. And right now, there's a lot of push upward here. Okay, a lot of push upward. So we'll use Kiwi yen, and we will go back. Let's go weekly maybe. And let me try to capture something here. February, the low was in March. That's 15. I can't really zoom in more, so I guess I'll have to go further back. Okay, we're looking at, I believe, we are comparing. Okay, it's hard to see. That's why I believe this and this is what we're looking at. Okay, that's it. So double bottom, and then a little bit high, a little bit down, and then a rally up. A little bit up, a little bit down. Oh, so I don't know if it fits perfectly or not, but whatever. Use it as you see fit. So the price of the commodity that New Zealand is producing is going up, so that should benefit New Zealand, right? Drinking milk is risk on. Well, it's not that because, like, for example, Americans drink a lot less milk than they used to. I don't know about other countries. But milk is an ingredient in food general. So I don't know if it's drinking milk. But if more people go to fast food restaurants, they're going to consume not just milk. Remember, it's not just milk. Let me bring it up again. Global dairy, what is it? Trade info, it's this one, GDT. It's not just milk. Okay, things like powdered milk. Okay, powdered milk. Cheese, lactose. These are ingredients for mass-produced food, right? So think of factories making your food. Think of fast food restaurants making you food. This stuff goes in there, right? This is big level consumption. This is probably very little to do with the milk you get at the grocery store, but you're going to consume this stuff. Okay? They're ingredients. So if consumption is up, meaning people have disposable income, this will go up. But much of this will also be stuff at the grocery store, but it's not you buying milk at the grocery store, right? It's the stuff on the shelves. It's your Kraft macaroni and cheese, right? And by the way, not cheddar, but flavored, probably a whole milk powder and a bunch of chemicals, right? So anyways, so demand, an increase in consumption will likely lead to a demand for these ingredients, these input variables, and therefore the price would go up. Okay? I used to be a subscriber, but anyways, I don't know if I am anymore. Okay, so anyways, it's a lovely site. Lovely to your mum. Okay. Well, in this case, Xtrader 1FX says it has to do with food price inflation. I would use it not as an inflation indicator, but as a demand indicator. But milk demand in the United States is so low compared to historic norms that the vast majority of very large professional dairy companies in the United States that manage, millions of head of cow, they've gone out of business. Okay? So supply and demand are probably finding their equilibrium. Okay? Not a Nash equilibrium, because that has to do with choice. Market equilibrium is matching supply with demand. And when supply and demand have found harmony, what we call equilibrium, there will be a quantity and a price associated with that. Okay? Wayne, look at the analysis and projection for crude oil and EIA. Okay, I'll try it again. It's good stuff. All right, let's go back to that. It's amazing that it's just not here. Maybe I'm the only one that uses one. So you said, Wayne, look at analysis and projection. Where do I see that? Up in here. Okay. Okay, let's see what loads. Alternative fields. No. Today in energy. It's usually weekly or monthly, but not today. It's usually just emailed, so the report is out. Yeah, I don't even want to look at that. Loading reports, weekly emissions, heating oil, weekly petroleum status report. That doesn't sound like it's the right one. That doesn't look right. No, none of that. That would be it. All right, why is it in black and white? Let's do it in HTML. See, this is the one I get. Let's open this one. There we go. This looks right. There we go. This is what I get emailed to me. All right, so it's this one. So it is this week in petroleum. And here we go. So thank you for keeping me focused on it, by the way. I gave up on it, but all right. But now we're here. Good. So this is one of the things I look at. This gray zone is the normal range. Let's call it one standard deviation of normal amounts of oil in inventory in the United States. This is oil available over the course of a year. Okay? Crude stocks, millions of barrels. Okay? And then for the longest time, not only did we have too much oil, we had way more than normal. Now, the amount had come down over the course of time, but we also know June 1st, I taught you guys this 15 years ago, that I did research over a very long period, and June 1st is peak. Okay? So since June, inventories were falling, but that was the normal That was a normal phenomenon. So as inventories fell, I was showing you that inventories are falling, but they normally fall, and we're still basically the same amount over supplied. Okay, there, right? And then when we got to this area in here, it's more like, all right, now we're closing the gap. Okay, we're closing the gap. So I wish I could zoom in. Maybe I'll make this a little thinner. But it's this distance in here going in sort of that third week of August, if you will. The idea of the
first shift at plants in
the amount, the percentage of oversupply over normal amounts of supply had diminished.
At U.S. manufacturing hubs for Toyota.
Okay. Okay. So at this point, you can see here, we're now to the point where we still have enough oil, but we're no longer oversupplied. We're in a normal range, which means supply has fallen. Demand typically is constant, D star. Therefore, price goes up. Okay? Very cool. Now, we'll get to a point, however, and oil is a unique product where it'll behave slightly different than a normal product because you need the oil regardless of the price, right? So like if the price is $100 or $50 in a normal market, you would look for an alternative. But right now you're like, well, forget it. I'm going to sell my Toyota and I'm going to buy a Tesla. We're not quite there. We're getting pretty close, actually. We're not quite there where the substitutes are, for most people, are not really there quite yet. If you need to drive, if you have a job, you have to drive to work in America. Okay? So, unless you live in New York City. That's the only thing I can think of, right? So, if oil prices go from 50 to 100 and gasoline goes from 2 to 4, it's not like you quit your job. You gripe about it and you say, this is Grandpa Joe's fault. Price has gone from 50 to 100. I have to pay $4 a gallon for gas, but you're still going to, you're going to bitch about it as you fill your tank with gas. And then you drive to work, right? So there's sort of a slight difference, right? Because as price moves up the curve, it doesn't change demand as much as you would expect in other situations, okay? But you'll get sort of more supply. You'll get more supply, okay? And so this is where we're looking at sort of supply and demand. This is all the supply side. Literally supply. How much supply of oil do we have? So as prices rise, we'll produce more, and then we'll draw the price back down. So it'll be a shifting of the supply, but demand will likely be constant. Okay? So you kind of have to read into this to make your determination on how to make the investment. Okay? Now, what would shift the entire demand curve if Joe Biden suddenly comes out and says they're going to offer a $10,000 rebate if you buy an electric vehicle? So the U.S. government would find this as part of their green initiative to give every purchase of a new or certified pre-owned all-electric vehicle, they will contribute $10,000 right off the top. Then suddenly demand would shift, right? Suddenly people are like, hey, now's my time. Now's the time I'm going to get myself a Tesla or, God forbid, a Leaf. Or one of those weird little BMW things. I almost bought one on multiple occasions. I'm like, oh my God, it's the size of my golf cart, but it's a BMW. I could drive it on the golf cart path probably. But what are they called? i3s or something? Yeah. I almost bought one of these. Look at that though, it's kick-ass. I mean, right? Come on. What's not to like about that thing? The boss wouldn't let me, though. So anyways, so that's how you'd shift the curve, but not price. All right, I guess I got to go today at 2 p.m. If you're in my swing trading group, if you're in my professional trading group, then I will see you in the war room at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are going to cover terms of trade. I guess this is what, lecture number 4? Okay. So I'll see you over there. If you want to become part of this group, you visit fxbootcamp.com. You pay the membership fee, which is currently 76.4% discounted. And then it'll upsell you to join the live trading group. So you pay the $99 there. So probably your total cost today to join would be $500. And you're getting a Harvard class for less than the cost of the textbooks. Is Kiwi likely to recover? I don't know. What do you think? Depends on your point of view on the Kiwi. Okay? See, just to leave you with that thought, you have to decide what you want to do with Kiwi Yen. The rest, once you've made the decision, is just technical analysis, and that's easy. The easiest part of this is technical analysis. Okay? Right? Yeah, okay, so then you know you breached the 21, so it's going to kick off the 55, probably make a lower high, and probably retrace back down to this 200 tomorrow. See? Not a problem. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So, peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. Please subscribe. Please like. Please leave comments. Document what you learned today. Document what you liked today. Just say hi, but leave a comment, okay? The recording will be available in less than 1 minute. There's no reason why there shouldn't be at least 150 comments. Just say hi, bro. Hey, what's up, bro? Thank you. Just say something. Leave a comment. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. Cheers.